So customers that do have that impression that this is, it's such a big thing to tackle, how does your team, what's our approach to help businesses, make progress with their Scope 3 emissions?
Yeah, so we tend to start kind of with a meeting where we'll just kind of go through the 15 categories. So there's 15 categories within Scope 3, which kind of breaks it down essentially. But they will kind of go through each of those and work through all the activities that the business or organisation do and work out what applies, what kind of is captured where, and kind of have a think about what sort of data is held kind of for each of those activities and who might have it. So kind of start thinking about which part of the business who we're going to need to contact to get that data. We'll then kind of go through that data collection process, and we'll have regular meetings, sometimes weekly, sometimes bi-weekly, kind of depends how things are progressing and how people's work calendars work, but kind of we're always there to support with it. Either we can directly contact specific contacts to get that data, or we'll work with kind of clients to make that happen. Mm-hmm. Once we've kind of started getting that data in, we'll then do the data analysis, the calculations, and kind of develop kind of a baseline or a calculation year, and then we'll kind of start developing those reduction recommendations. So within that, we also will recommend kind of data recommendations. So there's a section of the kind of final report where essentially we just recommend all the stuff we suggest they do to make next time they do it a little bit easier. So we kind of have that, and then obviously give the recommendations of how they can start to reduce their emissions, and can then kind of start work with the clients to kind of develop this is the program, or this is the process we suggest you take, how's that going to work for you, and make something that is hopefully effective but doable as well. Yeah,
so you touched on there that it's an ongoing process, it's not something that you do once and leave.
Yes.
How regular is that process? Is it typically ongoing monthly process, or is it annual? How are people tending to tackle it?
In terms of redoing their emissions?
Sort of recording their emissions.
Yeah, well, I think there's a variation. So you could do them every year, but it depends how available that data is. So for some organisations, it could take a year to get hold of all that data because it's stored everywhere. So ideally, you'd probably do it yearly, but you could do it every couple of years if that worked better for the organisation.
Sure. For a business that has really took that they're comfortable with their Scope 1 and 2, but not really looked at Scope 3, any hints and tips for what their next step might be?
I think it would be to, engage with us potentially, and we can talk you through actually what is applicable and how we can start to break it down. Because I think when you look at it as a big whole, it does look really scary. But actually, once you start going through where that data is and how easy some of it is to get hold of, that does kind of automatically kind of cross off some bits and makes it easier. But I think the main thing would just be, kind of starting to kind of get a better understanding of where in that supply chain it is, what are the easy ones to hit. So like business travel is often fairly easy to get hold of some of that data, waste can be as well, and kind of start on those maybe easier categories and kind of work up a little bit to the really big ones.